Hello, and welcome back to Coin Lady channel. And today, we'll be discussing Ripple and XRP, two of the most widely used cryptocurrencies in the financial sector. And with that, let's get right down to business. And this tweet shall serve as our jumping off point. So, it looks like the whole XRP community and the army were right all along. We have the upper hand. That much seems to have been verified. Do we really need to be told this? No. Are we shocked by the news that just broke on Twitter? Yes. 100%. This video was posted by a digital asset investor, right? That's what began it all. This proved that Ethereum wasn't going to be in trouble. In other words, they choose to ignore it. Then, we noticed that Steven Narioff had replied to this tweet. And how did he explain it in such detail? How, for example, did Ethereum appease this mystical government agency? In a recent video, we explained everything in detail. But that wasn't the end of it. We anticipated that it would happen, but it didn't. Almost 1 million people viewed this tweet. Many eyes were drawn to this. This came as a complete surprise to them, and they expressed shock. Now, before we get into the meat of the matter, there are a few things I'd want to discuss with you. The XRP community has been accused of being conspiracy theorists and labeled as crazy on multiple occasions. Even I have made comments to the effect that ETHgate is a hoax and that all XRP holders are insane. People are starting to wake up to the reality of the situation and attitudes are shifting as a result. It's ironic that the Cardano creator would say anything like this. Remember how everyone thought he was crazy when he started closing ETHgate? We now see that we were incorrect. From the start of the litigation, we suspected that something was off. In the same way, if you went back in time to when XRP and Ethereum existed. We're doing fine, I hope? Here we have the month of November in 2020 as an example. And if you check back here, you'll see what I mean, right? Also, I was unable to locate the section detailing the pricing adjustments. You can see that XRP guess what, it was outperforming Ethereum if you look at the price change here and select the March 2020 to November 2020 time range. Its results were slightly better than those of Ethereum, but only by around 25%. The month of December arrived almost out of nowhere. This is where attacks against XRP began. Once the final news came out, that theory was crushed, and from then on XRP could only manage a run of about 170% at most. This isn't really nothing, is it? In no way is this inconsequential. When compared to the 55x return achieved by Ethereum, this is a very respectable 17x. Do you see why so many people thought that now? The original proposed price tag was $10. From such depths, we have risen ninefold. We've been expecting this for some time now. And even if we only slightly right taper the Ethereum, we will have beaten Ethereum. This is why we claim that XRP and Ripple were targeted at the ideal period in this market, when their price was at its highest, 55x, and their utility was at its lowest, $6. You should trust Ethereum to drive. Now, let's revisit this piece from over 2 years ago, when it was featured prominently on Nasdaq.com. Thomas Young penned this for Investor Place. And we're talking about the XRP Ethereum scandal at ETHgate in 2022. The market is saying it's worse than Enron. And when we investigate, we wonder things like, what is EPA? First things first, we've already covered how the lawsuit directly references XRP and Ripple. Just what would you expect to find in this area? This is just a wild speculation. That's what people are calling the fact that Ethereum wasn't scrutinized by authorities. Ethereum whales could possibly create multiple fake identities and accounts, explain one Twitter commentary, to make it look like the Ethereum network and the initial coin offering was truly decentralized, when in fact it was manipulated to look more decentralized. These critics recently claimed that the SEC allowed Ethereum to move ahead while doing out harsher treatment to XRP. This is the big question that has everyone digging around. Keep that in mind, alright? The investigation begs the question, is Ether a real thing? The XRP community, myself included, and others know this to be true. And now we know beyond a shadow of a doubt that it is. Prior to mentioning anyone else, I feel obligated to offer props to utility theory. Presented below is a young gaming concept map. It manifests itself in this way. There are just so many people involved. You have the Securities and Exchange Commission, FTX, and JP Morgan. Look at your entire mental network, and you'll see how closely connected everyone is to this. For instance, you guys have Mike Novogratz, and the list keeps growing to include Cardano and its creator. Hester Pierce and the other regulators are all under your control. You've got Bill in on this as well. This is, like, a mind map of the highest kind. You need to use some utility theory and go check it out. I've already filled you in on this. It's a huge, huge corrupted mental map. Then again, there's this from Crypto Eddie ETH. Gay. We are correct. Decentralized justice according to XRP Sleuth Study and the Johnny D in 81 Factual Event Timeline, 2013 to 2023. And now, thanks to the 18-year-old narrator of Army News 1, we have OG XRP. Hear it out in its entirety, please. Here, have a look. Sunday, January 19, 2019. According to Joseph Lubin, we are huge admirers of the Southeastern Conference. He claims that the SEC has incorporated a concept known as decentralization into their analysis. Moreover, while they have stated that cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum are not securities, this has not been the case for other tokens like XRP. Living asserts, without citing Hinman, that he knows the SEC will not find any tokens other than Bitcoin and Ether to be decentralized. Like tens of thousands of other XRP holders throughout the world, I was affected by the SEC v. Ripple lawsuit filed in December 2020. We're both disheartened and frustrated and outraged, but we feel it together. We also figured out how we could add to a new kind of decentralized justice without any formal training or precedent. This is where the social media evidence became clear. We've exposed the lawbreakers and the bad actors who thought they could operate in secret. The lessons we've learned will have a lasting impact on the future of demanding and securing openness. The issue today is that all of this has been brought to light, but it's unclear whether or not those responsible will be punished. I mean, seriously, is there going to be any fruition of this? I certainly hope so. Listen, we are very upset about this. It's more than just the market price. You know, this has nothing to do with prices alone. It's not simply about how well things work out. Instead, we're going to focus on the horrifying losses suffered by the retail industry. That's right, for the past 2.5 years or so. Holding XRP as though we ought to hold these individuals accountable, the retail sector was decimated. And this way, Stephen Emery can get off the hook. The major news has just been revealed. First, I will not be playing this video on stage if you encounter CryptoIt. I'm guessing it runs for around 6 minutes. I won't keep you waiting. Does he, though? Hello, Stephen, almost leaving. We appreciate your attention to the ETH-related discourse. ICO, you're right, it is a risky neighborhood, but you did what you needed to do to investigate the lawfulness of the situation. You even got the ex-chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission to weigh in on the identity of the 15,000. Former SEC Chair Joe Grundfest has integrity that's out of style these days, and he's explained how Wells could hide their massive holdings in ETH ICOs during the ICL scandal, which is a violation of the Terms of Services ban on speculative buying. It's hard to imagine anyone involved with Ethereum doing anything illegal, and if they knew anyone who did, they would have told the SEC. Before the statute that he signed into effect, the governor fielded questions about the concentration of ETH holdings. Among the innumerable documents, recordings, etc., that I have kept in various locations, I may have the document revisions by the creator of the TOS. Given the assertions, it's possible that I lack the necessary information or resources. I made my contribution sound bigger than it was. It's possible I learned something, though, if I managed to strike up a conversation with a key co-founder. Either way, I guess public prosecution, public disgrace, and an attempt at incarceration would be an efficient method to quiet me. This is exactly what occurred to me for 4 years, and only recently was I able to prove that the government's own documents, including the SEC, were forgeries. Government agencies and were given a rare dismissal with prejudice, including the Department of Justice, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and, interestingly enough, some famous Ripple names. John Daniels, John Enright, and Mark Berger. When I stated dangerous area, I didn't expect to encounter friendly fire traders who were actually plotting against me, their country, and the cryptocurrency industry. This is a huge and fascinating decline. When we checked Steven's profile, we saw that he had replied to a tweet. This one, in particular. I have the map, he says. Do I have this right? That sucked. Let me go back to this tweet from Steven, in which he is replying to Crypto Eddie, because what we saw right within this was Johnny Dean responding to this tweet from Steven. And he's saying, long ago, I put out the timeline of indisputable facts and wrote the Ethereum Free Pass article published on Crypto Law US, and that article and all the facts I shared didn't bring me new friends in the crypto industry, instead labeling him a conspiracy theorist. Chris Dixon from A16Z blocked me after I revealed that in January of 2018, he had been instructed by Jay Clayton to assemble a small working group, write a document outlining what they wanted the SEC to do, and hand it over to Bill He, or words to that effect. Just so there's no misunderstanding, I in no way suggested that Chris Dixon did anything improper. While it seemed obvious that XRP was invited to participate in this very limited working group, I was unaware that Ripple had been included. Throughout much of 2018, it was the second largest cryptocurrency by market cap. There were times when XRP was more popular than Ethereum, like as in January of 2018, and we believe this is why XRP was singled out for attack. Digital Asset Buy has an interesting video, which I am posting. I mentioned how attorney LOL Ness said that his words and the document he wrote were virtually identical. To add insult to injury, I mentioned that the Ethereum was the sole minor allusion to something in the NASA safe haven document. Of course, I also mentioned that the human speech was paid for, or that Hinman himself made millions, thanks to Sharon's Ethereum mining equipment sales and initial public offering, IPO. After being labeled as conspiracy theorists, we found out that he had been warned by SEC ethics to cease his illegal behavior and that 18 USC 208 had been cited as the reason. And he kept doing it for 2 years, proving many of our claims in emails and deposition testimony. Using the research of the XRP detective, we at the Department of Crypto Law compiled a video chronology in which we included excerpts from interviews with key players. But what the public has lacked up until now is an insider who was present throughout and can recount every detail with supporting documents. Stephen Marriott seems to be looking at one of them or is about to speak. Keep in mind that Joe Grundfest was the only person to write to Clayton and the SEC appealing with them not to bring the case claiming XRP was a security after he helped Ethereum through Neria. Joe Grundfest's veracity cannot be questioned by anyone anywhere. He basically argued that protecting Ethereum while destroying XRP was immoral and illegal. From what I've found and what my pals have found, I think Stephen Area could just know where all the dead are buried, and things are about to become interesting. It's about to get very fascinating if he does, especially if he retained a copy of the map showing the site. And that's where Neria Field replies, "I have the map," to the aforementioned tweet. Wow. And here we have I typically don't disclose private discussions, but I contacted Stephen Area to ask if he would come on Crypto Laws. Here's the mind map that's getting posed by Utility Theory again. In contrast to the SEC and him personally, I told him I would not overlook his ignorance of crypto law. I would press him with harsh questions like who must have made millions off of the whale's disguise? I was one of them, and I made it clear to Seminary Off that I wouldn't avoid the issue if he appeared on my show. He informed me he paid his own money and refused the oath they offered him because he believed in what they were doing. I rambled on about nothing. Oh well. Then he spoke up. I think I have a very good grasp on what might motivate a person to work for free on a cause they care about. That's a decent response, though, I'll give you that. Despite the secrecy agreement, I continue to have doubts. He produced email correspondence with the highest-ranking members of the ETH leadership to back up his assertion. I'm trying to get him on crypto laws, and things are heating up. Fascinating new revelations. And then this arrived. Donnie Dean is repeating the same tweet that Ashley prospered from, so go ahead and use it. See, I didn't realize the gravity of the situation when I first read the second Steve in the New York Post. That's a rather significant charge to make. As an American, Stephen has an obligation to reveal Stephen's treason if he has evidence of it. You can have faith that the XRP army has done and will do its part to bring about transparency, accountability, and a level playing field in the legal system. My client Stephen Area battled and won the struggle of a lifetime, and here's proof from Michael Scotto. Steve has been instructed to do things the right way. And he will release all of his information when it will do the most good for truth and the people. This is a pretty intriguing topic. As well as this from Johnny Deaton over here. I'm speculating here, but as a lawyer, I think Stephen Avery's desire to tell what he knows after what he's been through may have gotten ahead of the legal advice he was receiving from his lawyer, who is a real trial lawyer and would understandably advise him to temporarily stand down until he followed proper procedures, which could include anything from speaking with authorities, example, whistleblower whistling, to speaking with the media. As I've said before, the day has come when we finally learn the whole truth. Oh my goodness. Wow. Wow. This is a very exciting development. This, y'all, is a big deal. I hope that Ethereum isn't singled out entirely. I really hope that Ethereum doesn't resort to such measures. Not at all, we're not here for that. Responsibility is what we seek. We need the evidence to be publicly available. We require indisputable evidence. We hope that through spreading this information, people would understand that XRP was in a terrible place for around 2.5 years. There was no new high reached. This is something I talk about quite a bit. Almost 70 days have passed since XRP's all-time high, a fact that I bring up frequently on the show. Keep in mind that Ethereum's record high was reached in just 1,127 days. And that's been the case since at least the year 2018. We have not yet reached the record high of 2017 to 2018. As I mentioned before, XRP has been the second most valuable cryptocurrency for a long time. It was swaying from side to side. Although Ethereum's market worth peaked at about $600 billion, XRP is the only asset in this category that has shown any serious promise of overtaking it. Is it implausible that XRP might have reached $6 in 2021? No. Not at all. This is why a lot of people who own XRP are frustrated. That's why we're getting so angry. This is why it's so encouraging when previously hidden material like this becomes public knowledge and an insider comes forward to share their knowledge. Definitely a shocking revelation. That being said, I'm excited to see what develops as a result of this. Share your predictions with me in the comments, and if you liked the video, hit that like button and subscribe to notifications tab down below. See you later, bye.